Hey guys, thanks for checking out this video. This is a long overdue recap of Southeast Gravel's final event, the 6th race in their series, which was way back on October 2nd. It's just taken me a long time to get around to making this video. I just got lazy in there somewhere. I guess that race is the season ender for me, and then after that I was just kind of coasting. But been thinking about making this video, and now I'm back here to do it. So the first thing we're going to look at is the data for the entire race. That's what you're going to see on screen now. And you can see the race took us about 3 hours and 20 minutes. It was a 69-mile race. And my average power was 235 watts with a normalized power of 269. And this was a pretty interesting race. It's kind of hard to see from the data, but you can see almost that the very beginning was hectic. There's a little bit in the middle where things calm down. And then the end was pretty up and down again on the power. So we're going to dive into that and take a look at kind of what was going on during this event. So what you're going to see now is data from close to the first hour of racing. This is the hardest first hour of racing I think I've had all year. I'll probably do a video where I look back and compare some of the data from these 6 events. But yeah, this was just it was a really tough one. Dylan Johnson was there, which of course when he's there that kind of always ups the pace, and I think what made it harder is that it was a smaller field, so there were less of us to kind of ride cohesively. So I probably ended up out in the wind more than I normally do. And so this is the first hour. You can see a average power of 274 watts with a normalized of 304. Pretty brutal, with a lot of power spikes in there. And so this is kind of how the race started. And so from the gun, it was just a brutal day. So the footage that's been playing along in the background and while we've been looking at the data is footage from me riding solo in no man's land. So what I'm going to throw up on the screen now is data from where I dropped myself. So you can see here, this was about a 4-minute effort with an average power of 335 watts and a normalized power of 372. This is pretty deep into the race, so this was around mile 28, you can see on the map there, and essentially I put in a big attack because I noticed Jaden, who's the Piedmont rider that was with us, that he had been kind of yo-yoing off the back, and he and I were tied for 2nd overall in the series. So I thought, hey, maybe I can drop him and I'll just continue on riding with Andrew and Dylan. So you can see I put in an attack of 836 watts at its peak, and then I managed to hold above 400 watts for most of the climb. But then kind of right as we got to the crest of the climb, you can see my power really drop off. And that is unfortunately when Andrew came over top of me and took Dylan with him. And I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't prepared. I was super gassed, and I couldn't respond. So here I am just riding in no man's land on my own. Thankfully that gave me time to take a breather, fix my camera, and kind of compose myself and wait to be caught from groups behind. So what we're looking at now is essentially how the race developed. It came down to this group. I got caught by the guy that's right in front of me, and then a group caught us, included one of his teammates and then a few other guys. And the guy that's right in front of me, he's the one that I'm tied with for 2nd overall in the series. And so essentially from here on out, I did a lot of gambling. I didn't want to go to the front at all. I wasn't going to chase anything down. I figured at this point there are 2 guys up the road, so at best we're racing for 3rd anyway. And I was super blown out. I was really tired and I didn't feel good. And so I thought I'm going to sit in as much as possible, sit on this guy's wheel, and just kind of see what happens. And that was my strategy for the rest of the race. So I'm just going to throw this in here as a shout out to this guy in front of me. His name was Justin, and he is a really strong rider, and he is part of the reason this race kind of went in my favor. Part of my gambling is I didn't follow a lot of moves, and I was really thankful because Justin would kind of chase a lot of things back. So when I didn't follow moves, I was able to kind of rely on the fact that Justin was there, and I think he was just looking to get a good workout, and he would bring these moves back. So definitely worked out, and I really appreciated that. It was really cool. This was a point in the race that just gave me a little bit of confidence. We're riding here up this little incline. Jaden in front of me, I can tell that he's hurting, and he's kind of looking around for someone else to set the pace up the climb. Then this other guy, he kind of puts in a little effort, and one of the Piedmont guys goes with him. And this is just another instance of me rolling the dice. I figure, hey, if I, feel good enough, Jaden seems to be hurting, I might as well try something. So I did put in a little dig here. Unfortunately, it didn't turn into anything, but this was just a nice confidence booster for me in this race. Just tossing this in here because I thought it was a pretty funny little redneck Roubaix moment. I guess from pre-riding, the Piedmont guys knew you don't actually have to ride across all those chunky rocks. If you ride to the left of the rocks, you're in the clear. So that's what we did through here, and I feel bad for the guys that did ride the rocks. Definitely more of a challenge than what we did. And then here we are. This is kind of the last section of the race that I had any concerns about in terms of technical challenge or difficulty or, having any kind of mechanical or rough spot. This is the final stretch of single track before we get back onto the gravel and race towards the finish. So I know that some of the guys up ahead were really excited about this stretch because they thought they would really be able to get a lead or kind of extend some kind of gap onto the single track. They were feeling really confident. One of them's plan at the very beginning was to try and drop Dylan on the single track. Of course, we did not make it near the single track with him. But after we made it through that technical bit, we just hit this little uphill, and once we were here, I knew things would be good. So I rode back into the wheels and kind of really started mentally preparing myself, because after you're off the single track, you're really kind of into the finale of the event, and there's not much of the course left. So here it is, the last 5 or so minutes of the race. At this point, we had caught Andrew Blackstock, who was riding in second. We caught him kind of right here on the final stretch. I was pretty gutted for him, but of course I was thrilled to realize, hey, I'm racing for second now. I made it out of a few tight pinches with the Piedmont guys. They tried to box me in or put me in bad positioning, but I managed to kind of worm my way out. And then I hit the final corner first, so you can see that's the effort with a max power 982 watts, which I felt good with at the, we're 3 hours and 15 minutes into the race. So I hit the final right-hand turn first, and from there it is downhill to the finish line. And so that's kind of how the race went. I managed to sneak in there and finish second overall, which you'll see right now on the screen is the podium photo. And conveniently, this is the podium photo for the whole series, and that's how it went. So a really exciting day of racing. Bummed it took me so long to make this video, but now that I'm back into riding, I'm already looking forward to and thinking about next year, and I can't wait. I think it'll be a lot of fun.